Awaken my heart to love, to beauty and to simple joy. Awaken my heart to love, to beauty and to simple joys. Oh, oh, oh. Awaken my heart to love, to beauty and to simple joys. Awaken my heart to love, to beauty and to simple joys. Oh, oh, oh. Awaken my heart to love, to beauty and to simple joys. Awaken my heart to love, to beauty and to simple joys. Oh, oh, oh. Awaken my heart to love, to beauty and to simple joys. Awaken my heart to love, to beauty and to simple joys. Oh, oh, oh. seen the film Forrest Gump? Yeah. Remember the famous line from, there were many things, but one of them was, life is like, I don't know how it finished,
Box of chocolate.
a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. That was Forrest's philosophy of life. So, what would you say life is like? Box of chocolates are already taken, so you can't do that. What's life like for you?
Calling it the kaleidoscope.
The kaleidoscope? Can you say more about that?
Well, I had one as a kid. You know, when you turn it, nothing changes, and all at once everything just changes. And you can't predict what it's going to look like.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts? What is life like for you?
I think of the phrase, the only certainty in life is uncertainty.
Right.
And there's freedom when you recognize you don't know what's going to happen and you just let it go. And you just take life as it comes.
Yeah.
And then you can look for wonder, not have expectation, which leads to disappointments and stuff like that. So just don't know what's going to happen day to day. And if you roll like that,
You roll like that, one thing for sure, your blood pressure can be lower. Right?
your blood pressure can go
Try to
up.
be lower.
Oh, lower, yeah.
Take things as they come.
You roll with the punches.
Roll with it. Yeah.
Well, you know, and it helps you not take life so seriously.
Right. Right. Exactly. And once again, my blood pressure goes down, which is a good thing. Any other thoughts? What is life like for you?
Worst thought of life is like school.
Squirrel?
School.
Oh, school. Okay.
Because there's always something to learn. Always.
Proceed to life is like a woman guarding her home from her new friend. Wouldn't you notice she just offered that home to Pluffles and said, Pluffles, did you on this one?
Well, to her, it's a game. She
It's a
thinks,
game.
yeah, she wants him to try to take it,
Right.
so she can try to take it back.
Right.
You know,
So that's why she brought it over and placed it closer to her.
yeah, because she wants him to.
She's like, oh, go get it.
So life is like a game.
Yeah.
Life is a playful game. Yeah. Any other thoughts?
I don't know. More and more, I just notice that life is a mirror of the human psyche, whether it's individually or collectively, and it's very symbolic, like a dream.
Yeah. What are you seeing in the mirror these days?
Much better things these days, yeah. But yeah, I just, it would be a lot to explain in one meeting. But you ever had something pop up in your life and you're like, what is this trying to tell me? You see something very symbolic for you. For example, I went outside the other night and there was 2 shooting stars. And 2 is my lucky number. I just thought, I've been waiting for something cool like that to happen since I got to Louisa. but that's a good one. They're
Yeah.
not always good.
Yeah. It's, you know, I never would have said this, never would have constructed this sentence prior to coming here, but lovely things happen in Louisa, little Louisa, Virginia. Lovely things happen in Louisa.
Yeah, I was talking to Sister Breed about that today. I feel like, you know, this is the kind of place where if something happened to you, people would stop and help you,
Yeah.
you know.
What are the thoughts? What is life like for you?
It's a ride.
It's a ride.
It is.
What are you riding?
Life.
Okay.
And, you know, just everything that comes at you and plans may, you know, fall the way they are or they may not. But you have to roll with the punches.
Sometimes you expect to go to California and suddenly you're going
Yeah.
to
Mhm.
Vermont.
Yeah.
Is that where you're going? Vermont?
No.
Where are you going?
Connecticut.
Connecticut. Oh, it's up there. Yeah. It's a ride.
Dawn in the Buffalo, life is a ride.
Pardon?
Dawn in the Buffalo, life is a ride. It's a song.
Read it?
But their title was interesting because they gave their first public performance and they announced, "We are Dawn of the Buffalo." But the recorder got it wrong and, you know, billboarded them as Dawn of the Buffalo. Donna.
Donna.
And they thought that was the lead singer's name.
All right.
And so they got this big promotion and completely wrong, so they just rolled with it.
They just rolled.
And they've been that ever since.
Right.
So talking about
That's
riding the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes the ride feels like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Other thoughts?
They really meant it when they said row, row, row your boat
Yeah.
down the stream. It was really the truth.
Mhm.
Yeah, life is but a dream. Yeah, I start to notice more and more
Yeah.
Yeah.
the symbolism like dreams. Yeah.
Denzel, you want to add anything to this? No? So I'm just going to say, for me, life is like a ride, but a very specific ride. And I've shared this with some of you before. When I was a little older than Denzel, I was living on a farm with horses. And one day my parents were out and left me alone with the horses. And being the saintly young person that I was, I decided to disobey my parents and ride the Palomino, of course, bareback, no saddle, no mane, no reins, just a blanket on the back, and me holding onto her reins. I'm sorry, to her mane, the beautiful white mane. She was golden colored, oh, gorgeous horse. So I discussed it with her, and she agreed that she would not throw me, kick me, or bite me if she was not totally broken. And so I jumped on her back, and we trotted out of the driveway into the open field. And a ways in the field was a freshly cut hay field. It was like a racetrack, it looked like. She spotted it, and she kind of did this, and then took off at full gallop. And I had never done that before. So I kind of like instinctually lowered down, gripped with my inner legs, and held on to her mane for dear life. And she went full gallop. It was the best ride in my life. I loved it. I was a combination scared to death and so excited, you know, and survive it so I could tell everybody about it. My parents spotted me when they came home, racing around the track on the horse. I was grounded for the next 2 weeks. But it was worth it. It was really worth it. I guess that's how I think about life sometimes. It's a wonderful, wild ride in which I could get killed. But it's worth it. It's worth the risk. It's worth the ride. So why am I asking you this? Because for the next couple weeks, I want to spend a little bit of time talking to you about what it means to be human. Not that I know, but I'm going to poke some questions around and see what you all think. It just occurs to me more and more that a healthy community or a healthy person is someone that is researching what it means to be a human being. And, to explore the different experiences of what it means to be a human being, the richness, the nuance, the contradictions. There's a good one right there, contradictions. If you haven't come up against your contradictions yet, you will. But it's like a wild ride. But it's worth it. I thought I was this, but I'm actually that. Oh, I'm both. Really? Oh my God, how can that be? So the source, the guide in our little journey, which we won't go into too much tonight, is her name, and I really admire this person, Judith Herman is her name, and the book is called Trauma and Recovery. Trauma and Recovery, the aftermath of violence from domestic abuse to political terror. So it's light reading, bedtime reading. Like I said, we won't go too much into it, but a little bit, because I think it answers or tries to answer the question: what does it mean to be a human being in this world? And I just want to share just a few thoughts from Judith Herman. And that's why I asked you at dinner, what is a safe space? Because Judith Herman's research tells her and everyone else that if we're going to recover from the suffering in our life, from the trauma in our life. By the way, researchers say that at least 70% of human beings have suffered traumatically in their life, whatever that is. Violence, death, all kinds of suffering. That is traumatic. Overwhelming. And so Judith Herman's first stop on the recovery trail is create a safe space for people. Create a safe space. And so I want us to reflect a little bit in the next couple of days. What is a safe space? What does it mean, and how can community of peace become more and more a safe space? Do you feel safe here? Is this a safe space for you? And again, keep in mind, it's a matter of degrees. No space is perfectly safe if there's human beings in it. I hate to break the bubble, but that's the truth. However, there are degrees of safety, like there are degrees of trust. And it's important to acknowledge that, because then you're not setting yourself up for either delirium or failure. Oh, this is a perfect space. No, it isn't. There ain't no such thing. But it could be a good space. It could be a space that's open to a better space, a relatively safe space, and that's good. So Judith Herman writes this book, and what she discovered was this. This is really amazing. She started by meeting with women who were in abusive relationships. And she learned over decades what that was like, that experience. And she stood in solidarity with them. And then she began to research soldiers who would come out of war. And you know what she discovered? Great similarities in the traumatic experience of both. PTSD and all kinds of suffering emerged that's traumatic. And then she writes her book. So, just a little bit from her book. hesitating because I can't read it. But they're going to get reading glasses. I hate to say words that aren't there. This is larger print. Here we go. Better chance. The ordinary response to atrocities is to banish them from consciousness. The ordinary response to the atrocities, to the oppression, the suffering that we've experienced, is to banish them from consciousness. Certain violations of the social compact are too terrible to utter aloud. This is the meaning of the word unspeakable. I'm just going to read that again. The ordinary response to atrocities or suffering is to banish them from consciousness. Certain violations of the social compact, because we're all aware that there is a social compact, meaning that underneath it all, there's a tacit agreement in society that I won't kill you, that you won't kill me, that I will not harm you, and you will not harm me. That's the social compact. Obviously, it is violated every day, but nonetheless, that's the social compact. Certain violations of this are too terrible to utter aloud. This is the meaning of the word unspeakable. Atrocities, however, refuse to be buried. And I would say also traumatic suffering refuses to be buried. Equally as powerful as the desire to deny atrocities is the conviction that denial does not work. Folk wisdom is filled with ghosts who refuse to rest in their graves until their stories are told. And that's the second step, by the way, in recovery from trauma, is to be in a safe space long enough that you can tell your story and grieve your losses and be witnessed by others. That's essential. Remembering and telling the truth about terrible events are prerequisites both for the restoration of the social order and for the healing of individuals. I'll just repeat that last bit. Remembering and telling the truth about terrible events are prerequisites both for the restoration of the social order. Do you realize that today many scholars are saying the social order is collapsing? You know, it's so clear in this country at times. You know, what we once trusted, we can no longer trust. The connections are no longer there. What used to make sense doesn't make sense. And the whole thing seems to be just crumbling before our eyes. But what's necessary is remembering and telling the truth about the terrible events, whether they're societal or personal, individual. And that brings about healing and restoration, both for society and for the individual. So I just want to close with a little story that I've often told, but I've not told it in this light before. It's a little story called The Fox Woman, because it has to do with human nature and what it means to be human. So here comes the story. Once upon a time, there was a hunter who lived up in the north, way far away from the village. He lived there intentionally because he had troubles. He had troubles getting along with people. So he would go up into his cabin and stay there most of the year. I think she's intentionally being naughty when she does that. She does that like Anyway, back to the hunter. The hunter lived in a cabin in the north, way far away from people, because people were the problem. And every day he would go out on the hunt, the great circle, and he would catch what he caught and killed what he killed and come back at night and make himself supper and go to sleep. One day he was out in the hunt and he caught what he caught and killed what he killed and came back and something happened. Something different. Something was changing. And he looked at his cabin from a distance and he saw smoke rising from the chimney. And he was amazed. So he approached his cabin very cautiously. Approached his porch very quietly, opened the door very silently, peered inside, and saw a freshly lit fire in the fireplace and a hot prepared meal on the tabletop. And thought, wow, somebody traveling through, paying it forward, that's nice. Sat down, ate the meal, warmed himself by the fire, went to bed. Day 2. The next day he goes out on the hunt. Comes back at the end of the day, and sure enough, the same thing. Smoke is rising from the chimney. So he approaches his cabin very carefully, up the steps, opens the door, and once again he sees a fire in his fireplace and a nice hot meal prepared on his table. Says the hunter, twice. Now I'm curious. Sits down, enjoys the meal, warms himself by the fire, goes to bed. Day 3. Now, in these folk tales, everything happens on day 3. So day 3, the hunter goes out, but this time he says, no, I'm not going hunting. I'm going to wait and watch and hide myself in a bush and catch whoever it is that's doing this. Sure enough, he didn't have to wait long. Out of the forest trotted a fox, a red fox. Approached, oh, she just forgot. Sita. Out of the forest trotted a fox, a red fox. Up onto the porch, nudged open the door, and went inside. The hunter was gobsmacked. He approaches the cabin, slowly up into the porch, opens the door, and first thing he sees is a fox pelt hanging on the hook by the door. And standing next to the fire getting started is a woman. And she is getting the fire going and starting to prepare a meal. He didn't know what to say. And he didn't know what to say for a long time. And so the two of them stood there, she by the fire, he by the door, she aware of his presence. Nobody saying anything. It was one of those awkward, human moments. Finally, she spoke. And this is what she said. I have come to be the woman in your life. That's all she said. He thought about it for 2 seconds and said, okay. And that's the way it was. The two of them lived in the cabin. They had a life together for a while. But one day, the hunter was starting to feel restless. And during the meal, he started to feel very restless. So much so that he put his food down, slapped his hands on the table and said, I can't deal with this anymore. She said, what? He said, the smell of fox in the house. She didn't say anything. She only stood up. She went to the door where her fox pelt was hanging. She took it off. She walked outside. Over her shoulders, the fox pelt went. She became fox again. and trotted off into the forest, leaving the hunter alone once more. That's the end of the story. So, make of it what you will. The story is a very old story. It has different versions. There's a lovely storyteller, I'm trying to remember his name right now. This guy, big beard, big hat. Anybody know his name? I think he's Scottish or Irish. Tells the story. Here's what I make of the story. See what you make. To me, the story says, what problem do I have with human nature? What problem do I have, starting with myself, with human nature? The fox, the smell of fox. What is that for me? What does it mean? What is it I can't deal with? What is it that I would rather not deal with, but I have to because it's part of nature? What mystery, what nuance, what complication gives me trouble? And how can I possibly live with it? The smell of fox. So I offer the story to you. Do with it what you will. In my view, the woman, the fox woman, offers the hunter the opportunity to become more human, more of a human being. At first it's okay, because of the benefits. But after a while, he's not willing to do the work. Just isn't. I can't deal with this, the smell of fox. But you could have sat down and said, oh, is there any chance you could put your fox pelt outside the door? Then they could at least talk about it.
Yeah.
But no, he doesn't. He just cuts it off. Well, can't deal with it. Done. Notice her response too. The gift was offered. She doesn't argue with him. She realizes that this guy is not able to receive the gift of greater humanity. So she does the only thing possible. The best thing, the wisest thing. She walks out. So to me, it's a story about what does it mean to be human? What opportunities are given to us to become more and more human? And are we receiving them? Are we learning from them? The new thing about becoming human. Does that make sense? Any thoughts?
I love the stories of the animal becoming human, as in the selkie and the fox woman. And I think there's some others. I'm not exactly sure why, but I think it's maybe my tendency or wish maybe to see humanity in an animal. Yeah.
Any other thoughts? So I'll leave you with the question, what does it mean to become more and more a human being? And what opportunities are we being given that we might say yes to? And what work is required for us to do that very thing, to become more and more human. We'll close with a song. Sing alle, alleluia. Sing alle, alleluia. Sing alle, alleluia. Oh, sing alle, alleluia. Sing alle, alleluia. Sing alle, alleluia. Sing alle, alleluia. Oh, sing alle, alleluia. Christ the Lord is here today. Hear the angels sing, alle. Christ the Lord is here today. Oh, hear the angels sing, alle. Sing, alle, alleluia. Sing, alle, alleluia. Sing, alle, alleluia. Oh, sing, alle, alleluia. At the close of this day, we give you thanks for your great life, for each of us, everyone, everywhere. Show us what it means to be human, to be like Jesus, the human one. Lead us and guide us. May it be so. Amen. Good thing we don't got tails, we'd be chasing
No.
them.
So I'm just imagining, we get up one morning and instead of seeing